If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it, and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
I mean, you're married, Tom. You're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been for years lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said?
The morning the scandal broke seemed like any other, coffee in hand, scrolling through the usual news. But then, something stood out. The name Sunny Hostin flashed across the screen. This time, it wasn't for her fiery takes on The View. No, it was about her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin. And trust me, the headlines were anything but flattering. Dr. Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon, and his practice, Hostin Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, found themselves at the epicenter of a storm. The accusations? Insurance fraud, kickbacks, and wait for it, being tied to a sprawling RICO lawsuit involving a staggering 180 defendants. That's not just a case, folks. It's a blockbuster, but before we dive into the drama, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single plot twist in this Hollywood-sized scandal. Now, let's break this down, legal jargon and all.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
The RICO Act, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, was originally created to take down organized crime. Think mobsters, gangsters, the real shady stuff. But plot twist, it's not the mafia in the hot seat here. It's doctors, surgeons, and medical practices now. The courtroom drama feels less like Goodfellas and more like Grey's Anatomy, but with fraud on the side. The lawsuit alleges that Dr. Hostin and others were running a scheme to milk the healthcare system. They allegedly received kickbacks for performing unnecessary surgeries and billing insurance companies for procedures that may not have even happened. Picture this: patients going under the knife, insurance companies picking up the tab, while money changes hands like it's a high-stakes poker game at the hospital.
I want a citizen that has a policy. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate this misinformation?
They have.
And that's
Where it gets juicy. The lawsuit specifically calls out Dr. Hostin for allegedly getting financial incentives for recommending or performing arthroscopic surgeries, those minimally invasive joint procedures. At face value, these surgeries seem above board, but the lawsuit claims some of them were completely unnecessary. Were these patients actually in need of knee or shoulder surgeries, or was someone just looking for a payday? If these allegations are true, this could be one of the most shocking betrayals, making soap opera scandals look tame. Imagine trusting your doctor only to realize you were just a pawn in a financial game. That's the kind of betrayal that stings, literally.
It's always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickback.
But here's the twist. On the other side of this case is American Transit Insurance Company, ATIC, the plaintiff. A tick claims they've been duped out of millions, alleging they were billed for surgeries that never happened or weren't needed. It's like paying for a steak and getting tofu instead, but let's be real, insurance companies don't exactly have clean hands either. They've been accused of underpaying doctors, denying claims, and finding every loophole to avoid paying up. So, the big question is ATIC really trying to expose a massive healthcare scam? Or is this just a desperate move by a company teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, looking to blame someone else?
According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influence and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers.
Dr. Hostin's lawyer, Daniel Thwaites, didn't hold back. He blasted the lawsuit as a meritless attempt by ATIC to recoup their losses, calling it a last-ditch effort by a company on the verge of financial collapse. His defense shifts the spotlight onto ATIC, painting them as the real villains, a classic courtroom maneuver. When you're under attack, you turn the tables on your accuser, and trust me, it's keeping the courtroom drama red hot. But hold on, there's more. Enter Joe Rogan, podcast king and media critic. Rogan didn't pull any punches, calling out The View for what he saw as blatant hypocrisy. He reminded everyone how Sunny Hostin used to slander people, acting like she was perfect, all while likely knowing about her husband's shady dealings, and that's not all. Rogan went full throttle, roasting the show for being, well, plain stupid. If you average out the IQ of The View hosts, you might still struggle to hit triple digits. He quit.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
Harsh? Maybe, but his fans were eating it up. Now, while Dr. Hostin fights for his reputation in court, his wife Sunny has been eerily silent. Normally, Sunny's the one who tackles controversy head-on on The View, but when it comes to her husband's scandal, crickets, why the silence? Is she standing by him, trying to distance herself, or maybe waiting for her lawyers to tell her what to say? Fans are buzzing. Some think she's protecting her image, while others suspect she's staying quiet to avoid becoming the next target. Either way, her silence is speaking volumes, and here's the kicker. This isn't just about Dr. Hostin. He's one of 180 defendants named in this lawsuit, including other doctors, medical practices, and even hospitals. If the allegations hold water, this could be one of the largest medical fraud cases in recent memory, an entire network of corruption exploiting loopholes in the healthcare system for millions.
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit, okay? Now, let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this. About
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Thwaites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread insurance.
It's like a heist movie, except instead of robbing banks, these criminals are robbing insurance premiums. At the heart of it all is a bigger question. How much trust do we really have in the healthcare system? When money seems to trump patient care, when doctors and insurance companies care more about profits than people, trust crumbles. Patients should feel safe going to their doctor, not like they're walking into a financial trap. And let's not forget, if ATIC is using this lawsuit as a smokescreen to cover up their own financial mess, They're only adding fuel to the fire. This whole situation is a tangled web, and untangling it won't be easy. As of now, Dr. Hostin hasn't been found guilty. These are just allegations. But the court battle promises to be a